I think I have a conditioned response to that music now. I'm like, it's Saturday. Here we go. Doodle and Chat.
So
having more rhyming.
So people don't see us as that's counting down, but I know you can see me.
Yes.
And we just bop. We just bop to the song. I like
it. We get to draw together.
I know. I know.
Today we get to draw with somebody else. But before that, how was your week?
As I was saying off camera, it was a full moon week, and there is something to that. I actually was explaining that to my fourth child, my youngest child, who is 20. And he's like, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, that's where the word lunacy comes from. It has to do with, the moon phases and how it impacts people." And he's like, "Oh." So I said, yeah, it affects people. My daughter, who is a doctor, also sees that in the medical setting as well.
Yes. So. I would say that I didn't know that it was a full moon. I did not experience the full moon effects at school. But that's okay. I'll take it. They were relatively on the chill side.
Good. Well, my husband says it also has to do with our really nice temperatures.
Yeah.
He said kids also kind of hibernate a little bit during the colder months. Like you don't see an uptick in behavior issues. And then as this starts to warm up. So I think we had warm weather paired with the full moon, and we just got the full effect this week. So.
Yes.
So we do have a really cool guest today that I am super, super duper excited about. And you got to spend a little bit of time with him already recently.
I did. I was back at IdeaCon just for a session. And I got to see Dee, and I also got to sit in on a session of his, and it was just wonderful. It was just as wonderful as I thought and hoped that it would be.
So I'm excited about that today too. So our guest today had a different path to education. He began his journey with an undergraduate and master's degree in sociology. He has served education as a vocational studies teacher, testing coordinator, Title I director, STEM specialist, and tech coach. He is the author of Demarginalizing Design, Elevating Equity for Real-World Problem Solving. His accomplishments and contributions are too numerous to list, but I know we're going to get into some of them today. And he has dedicated his time and space with everything that he does, helping and informing about equitable learning and experiences for school leaders, staff, and students. I am so excited to doodle and chat and learn all about Dee Lanier today. Did I say it right?
You said it right, Lanier.
Yay! Yes.
And I get to be a part of Doodle and Chat. Yes.
You do. So fun. Thank you for being part of this.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for having me be a part of this. It was so great seeing you, Carrie.
It was great seeing you too.
Yes.
All right. So for Dee, you're excited? Are you on your yoga ball?
I am on my yoga ball. Did I tell you about this?
You did. You told us at your session about your yoga ball.
Yeah. So my chair is a yoga ball. It looks like I'm bouncing around. It's because I literally am. If it sounds like things are falling in the background, because they literally are. That's my I have 4 kids. They are all home. But yeah, I have this yoga ball, and that's my chair. Sometimes I don't realize that I'm literally bouncing on it.
I love it. So for Dee and anybody else who's joining us here who hasn't met the Bowl That Knows, this is the Bowl That Knows, and it has inside of it very special questions that we have created just for Dee. The DL thing is throwing me, and I don't know why. My brain needs to get in check. I know his name is Dee. Anyways, it has special questions in here just for Dee, especially researched ones, as well as a few random ones. And actually, as I was putting the random ones in, I lost count. So there might be 3, there might be 4, or there might be 5 random ones in there. So it could be an extra adventure today. So Mandy and I are going to turn our cameras on, and then we're going to pull from the Bowl That Knows, and we're going to doodle and chat all about Dee today. And I'm very excited.
Me too.
I'm doodling too.
So. All right.
Oh, good. So I get excited when we get to do this because, you see people who share publicly, and Dee has been one of those people that I have never met. Well, actually, I think we have met probably. I think I was with Matt Miller one time. And I think you and I had a conversation, but I didn't really get to know you very well. And so I love when people that I admire, that share, that I get to sit down and talk with them and share with even more people the cool things that you do. So I'm super excited about today.
Yes, and thank you. And we're going to have to rectify that in person.
Yes.
Making sure we get a good sit down.
I love it. And I know on that same note, I think I've sketchnoted a session of these. Either it was the Ditch Textbook Summit or the Hive Summit. I forget which one it was, but I remember drawing Solve in Time as signs. I'm pretty sure I did.
Remember that, actually.
Yeah. So I'm really excited. It was fun to reconnect with Dee and his work as I was doing research about him. And I'm like, and I remember that, and I'm saving it for the classroom. And I remember that, and I'm saving it for the classroom. So my email is filled with like Dee-infused inspiration for like just little nuggets that are going to be so perfect for the classroom. So with that said, anybody who wants to connect further with Dee and his work, which is wonderful and accessible. And I teach special ed, and Mandy's an administrator, and both of us could use the things that Dee talks about on his website, especially the Solve in Time one, and a variety of different capacities. So I'm just a little pitch for Dee. We'll make sure all the links are in the show notes. But without further ado, the bowl is whispering, Carrie, you have to pull from me. Because Annabeth's not here to keep us on track. This is why we have a producer usually, Dee, because we told
I understand. It's Brian Romero-Smith, the producer for The Liberated Educator, me and Ken Shelton. He keeps us on track. Without a producer, we're kind of
you got to have somebody there. I Well, here we go. We're diving right in.
Here we go.
I'm happy that this question came up. You have an affinity for prose, rhyming, and you smile when hearing rhythm in spoken word. Create a would you rather poem for us with a line about something you don't want to do and another about what you'd rather do instead. So the bowl is just bringing it right from the start, Dee. No pressure.
So, yeah, sometimes, oftentimes I got to have a rhythm that's in my head. And it's not about rhyme when you think about poetry as much as it is about rhythm. And so I think about, I have one little tagline that says something along the lines of, grind culture is dead, grind coffee instead. And
I love it.
There you go.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah. So
that needs to be a shirt.
Brings me joy. It is. Yeah, it is. It's one of my designs.
Is it one of your shirts?
Yeah, I haven't released it yet, but it is a design for a future release. Yes.
Okay, so I need you to just email me when it's ready.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna need that shirt.
Coffee lovers around here, Dee.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I'm speaking to my people. Yep. And there's something about, especially when caught up in a lot of tasks and things to do, and emails that are overwhelming, and presentations to prepare for, and things that are hard, and you can just keep going and going and going. And I love grinding coffee. I actually roast my own coffee. I love the whole experience of whether it's pour over or AeroPress, occasionally an espresso, like just that. It's mindfulness for me to stop, pause, and do the slow, methodical. It's almost rhythmic when I hear the grinder going, right? And then I start to smell the aroma. And it's a brain break. Sometimes it's just a 5-minute brain break. And some people, they say, I can't believe you worked that hard just to get a cup of coffee. Like, I just want the caffeine. I just want it now. Like, I feel like you're missing something of what coffee can bring you, which is an opportunity to slow down, to take a break, to enjoy and experience what is in process of being developed. And then that end result, you get to sip and to drink and to experience. You can't get that from a Keurig.
You can't. It also doesn't taste as good.
It's just to make me want to drink more coffee and make it even more intentionally than just pouring it in my cup from a cold brew that's in my refrigerator.
So I also have a pour over and I have an AeroPress.
Maggie's my people.
She is.
And I'm also very particular about my coffee. So
okay.
So I am a Colombian dark roast.
Okay.
Like a nutty or a chocolate flavor. I don't like the floral and the fruity coffees, the more Guatemalan type blends and stuff. So
that's where we're opposite then.
Okay. And so I actually find I'm in the minority. I feel like most people like the fruity and the floral coffees, and I don't. So I struggle to find coffee shops that have the type of roast that I like, because most coffee shops are the fruity and the floral.
Yeah. Coffee is a fruit.
It is, but I really like the deep chocolate, dark roast flavors. So
got it. Okay.
My coffee pot is pathetic, but that's okay.
I love that. No, I love that.
They almost could add like a rooster.
I did a coffee grinder.
I love it.
Oh, I see that. I'm doing a t-shirt because you all are reminding me to go ahead and get that one going. I have a short release t-shirt that's on my website right now, and it says first it says slavery, and then it has a red line through it, and then it says crop sharing, and it has a yellow line through it, and then it says ownership, and it has a green line under it. And that's also very much a communication of my history. My grandfather was born into sharecropping, right? But I often think about his brother, my uncle Clint, who just passed last year. He's 100 years old. But he and his family established in Northern California. And anyone who's watching, or you can go online right now and you can look up Robinson Taekwondo. There's 11 dojos in Northern California, in Sacramento area, and that's all my family, right? And it really, right? So to know going from slavery to sharecropping to ownership is something that I'm constantly keeping my eye on as well. Most of our jobs are a form of sharecropping, but to recognize we can have parts of us, pieces of the things that we truly own, that we fully have creative ownership and profit from.
It's important.
So the coffee one is coming soon.
Okay.
I love it. I'm gonna have to fit a California on here in a second, but I'm gonna pull from the bowl and keep us moving. Create some rhythm.
Let's go.
I have to say, okay, so now I'm gonna pause for a second. So I think all of us have seen a lot of people give sessions and stuff like that, but I've never seen someone light up like Dee lights up when your recognition or love for not just what people say, but how they say it. It was a unique experience at your session. So like anytime anybody gave an answer, if there was a certain rhythm to it or a rhyme, Dee would, when I said that he smiles, he literally smiles when it happens. And it's just a fun experience to watch just you as a person, how you connect with the spoken word is fun. It's fun.
I appreciate that. It's what I appreciate, I should say. It's listening, it's hearing, it's feeling that we are rhythmic, and we do communicate much bigger and broader than just the ways in which standardized communication typically tells us to, right? We spend most of our time listening to music of some sort, and rhythm is in what we do. And so when someone is communicating something deep or important, and then you recognize they're using alliteration and they are communicating something that could be very complex, but in a way that grabs you, captures you, then I love it. And, so yeah, shout out to all the poets out there. Shout out to all the rhymers out there. I absolutely love it.
I love that too. And to take it like a deeper step, it kind of goes into like your coffee analogy a little bit, in terms of like how we tap into how people share and talk. It's almost at a level of not self-care, but it's just a different, it's like taking in the sounds and the smells of coffee. You do the same thing with word. And so I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a form of resistance, right? Because we are told regularly to do certain things a certain way, and we are stripping ourselves of our humanity when we only do it that way. And so, yes, spoken word and rhythm and rhyme is a way to be resistant to those pressures, to not be a full human. I mean, even this Doodle chat right now, like this gives me joy because we're utilizing, right, both sides of our brain. We're actually implementing what we know the research says about effective learning. Imagine that.
Imagine that. Imagine educators trying to do that, right? In a unique way. All right, let's see what the bowl has for us. What are one or two of your favorite happy memories as a father? Because you're not just a teacher, you're not just an advocate and a change maker, but you're also a dad, right?
I am.
And you said 4 children?
I have 4 children. Goodness, that's so hard. My kids are, my oldest is 17, my middle daughter is 14, and the twins are 13.
Twins, okay.
Twins.
So you're busy.
Moments. I am. It was a couple of years ago. I took my youngest daughter, she's one of the twins, Ellis. I took her to a conference, NC Ties, and she started out really quiet. She's always curious. But by the end of the conference, she was literally taking the mic from me and speaking to this huge audience of people and sharing of her experiences. And probably one of the funniest is it's a 3-day conference, and I want to say it was on day 2. We're walking across the street, and on the other side of the street are a bunch of educators, and they yell out, "Hi, Alice!" And I was just blown away. I'm like, "You are the superstar of this event." It was amazing. Yeah, that would be one of so many. My son just made the soccer team.
Yay.
Expect to. And it's not just that he made the team. What I am most proud of is how he's dealing with some of the kids who are who are being negative, who aren't being as nice as they should be, right? Because it was a team that could only take 17 kids, and there were 45 that tried out, and he made the cut, and he's 7th grade, not 8th grade. So him dealing with that and how he's dealing with it, how he's just being super humble, how he's communicating to some of his friends around how he he wished that they made the team too, right? And how he's just taking it on the chin in some ways, but being really, really strong in knowing that he deserves to be on the team and sees his place on the team. So that's really recent. Like that's this morning conversations.
Oh, fun. That's a good way to start a Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah. I could go. I'm so proud of all 4 of my children. My daughter cares. She shared one of her poems in my book, and it's at the very end. And so, spoiler if anybody wants to go, if they have my book, you want to go all the way to the end and say, I want to. Not only is it's there, you can scan a QR code and listen to it, listen to her read it.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Goodness. Landis is my middle child, and she is probably the most interesting person I've ever met. She's my whole child.
I love it.
She is like just this combination of funny and witty and smart. She's quick on her feet. Y'all don't get caught off guard with that kid. She'll get you with a zinger quick. I just say all four of them, how they care for each other, how they care for others. They're really compassionate kids. So I hope that they continue to be compassionate.
Yeah, I think that is probably one of the unexpected things for me about parenthood is the desire for my children to keep their relationship strong. You know, you hope you raise good kids, that they're successful and independent and blah, blah, blah. But then you start to see the dynamic between them, and you hope that, you know, the love that you have for your family is something that carries on past their childhood, you know?
Yes, for sure.
So I also have 4 children. Mine are older. My youngest one is 20. And I have gotten to see that, the relationships that they have. You are like, as you are describing your family, I have kids that fit into that same kind of dynamic. My one that is witty and just like, she had me rolling a couple of days ago, just sharing a story from her day, but she is such a good storyteller. I mean, tears running down my face. And I got off the phone and my husband said, she missed her calling. She should have been a stand-up comedian. Because she can just share a story in a way that even if it's a difficult story, like she's just a good storyteller. And so, yes,
Yeah.
I love the relationship my kids have. Last night, because they are not all in this area. One of them actually lives 10 hours away. They get on Discord and they play video games together all the time.
Yes.
And so
That's
I
awesome.
love that they've retained that relationship, even though they're spread out all over the country. So
That's really cool. That is awesome.
it is cool.
Yeah, I love listening to Mandy's stories about her kids. They're a neat group of human beings.
Yep. And I think there's something special, like with 4, you know, I said, those of us that said, let's have 4 kids. Of course, you got a 2-for-1 deal. So
Yep. Yep. Yeah, my wife and I, we always say, you know, so I said I wanted 3 kids. She wanted 4. And as usual, she got what she wanted.
The universe spoke.
we also intended to
Yes.
have 3. And
Yep.
sometimes things don't work
Well, you
out that way.
did, technically. You did have 3.
That's true.
We did. Wouldn't trade that last one for anything, though.
So fun. So fun. All right, let's see what's next.
What's the bowl got? What's the bowl
What is
got?
it got? Take us from tools to beans to key ingredients and mug on how do you make the perfect cup of coffee?
Ooh, the perfect cup of coffee. I feel like I haven't arrived there yet.
Or a really good cup of coffee.
Good. Yeah. So, and what makes that tough is I'm always going back and forth between pour over and AeroPress. But I will say, okay, so if I had to make the perfect cup, number one, I'm going to use a really good hand grinder. The one that I have is called an Easy Presso. It looks like 1Z, but it's Easy Presso. And so I use that as my hand grinder, have it dialed in perfect. I'm going to use probably a Ethiopian natural coffee. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Light roast, Mandy's non-favorite. Floral,
okay.
very floral, fruit forward. And then I am going to brewer of choice. I'm actually going to go Chemex. So I'm going to go with Chemex. Really clean cup is what you can produce out of a Chemex. And really the magic is in the filter. So it's a It's like a 3-layer filter. So I'm gonna use the Chemexus. So, and then I have, I have a scale, and I have a kettle. So those are all of my tools, right? That's what I'm using, as well as ingredients. The water's got to be triple filtered with remineralization. Yeah, I just went real nerdy for a quick second there. So it's got to be really high quality water, right?
High quality H2O.
Yes. So do you want me to actually walk through this process? How am I making it? Is that what's happening right now?
Whatever makes you happiest. Well, we're here to listen.
All right. It makes me desirous to swoop around the corner and make some more coffee. So yeah, I'm and it is all therapeutic, right? So I'm going to start with I'm going to probably get 20 grams of coffee, and I'm going to have it as a medium fine grind, and I'm going to grind it. I'm going to smell the aroma as it's grinding. I'm going to hear the sounds. I'm going to feel it in my hands as I feel it grinding, right? I'm getting excited as that's grinding, and I'm also boiling my water. Actually, will take my water all the way up to 212 degrees Fahrenheit, so I'll get it at a full boil. I will then wet my filter, and so it all feels like I'm getting started in the process. I know what's coming next. So then after I empty out the water that I use to wet the filter, that'll get all of the papery flavor out of the filter. And it'll also heat up the carafe a little bit. And so I'll dump that out, get that in, pour in the coffee, level it, shake it to level it, put it on the scale, zero it out, press the tare button to zero it out. And then I'll use my finger and I'll put a little divot in the coffee. And then I will begin to slow pour the coffee, the hot water, in a little slow swirling manner. And I'll get that up to, what I put in, 20 grams. So I'll get that up to 40 grams. So I double my water to coffee ratio. And then I'll set a timer and I'll let that sit for 30 seconds. And I'll watch it in its bloom phase. I'll watch it sort of bubble. And it's letting off the CO2s. And I'll smell that aroma as it's also coming off. I will then make sure that I am using proper ratio. I normally use a 16.6 ratio to however much I have in my bean. So it'll come out to about 330, 332. But what I'll do is I'll then start slow pouring after that 30 seconds, and I'll get it up to about 200 is where I'll fill it up, and then let it sit. And I'll let it sit for about 10 seconds, and then I'll start slowly pouring in. Every 10 seconds, I'll start slowly pouring in about 40 grams of water, and I'm just watching it trickle down. And it's the coolest thing to see it trickle down into the carafe, and also the steam. It's like the condensation is catching on the sides, and you're seeing it coming through. And I know that something's being produced that's going to be amazing. I'll just slowly keep doing that process until we get to the end, near the end. And then when it gets near the end, I'll do a slow swirl of the carafe. And what I'm doing is allowing the water to wash the sides of the filter and to bring down the coffee. And then as it just continues to slowly filter through, it should produce a flat bed. So there's very little, there shouldn't be any large hole grinds on the sides. There may be some fines, as they're called, right? Some of the powdery sediment on the sides, but most of it should now be level. And now I know I have, liquid gold waiting for me. So then I'll just discard that filter, and I will pour into my cup. I am a sucker for, so any conference organizers, anybody who has swag, these sort of cups, these metal cups that have no handle, they're really, really well insulated. Um, I love these. So if I ever could get my hand on these, because I like to slowly sip my coffee. I like it to stay hot for a while. Um, and so this is what I use. And I don't like sipping through those little lids though. The little hole. I don't like that. It's not a good experience because when you bring the coffee to you,
Smell
like
it.
to be able to smell the whole
Yeah,
aroma.
that
It's
is
an
true.
entire experience.
So, Carrie, we have now officially met somebody who has a more robust coffee experience than I do.
I was I could see you nodding your head. I was like, Mandy knows about this. I was like, whoa, Mandy. I knew Mandy's experience was deep, but
his is more. And now I'm going to need Dee to make me a cup of coffee because I actually could almost smell that experience as you described it. I think I need to actually experience that. So
Oh, that's fun. And AeroPress is a completely different
it is.
brewing method. And I love it as well. There's something about, preparing for just, for a single cup. I'll normally do like 15 grams, a little bit finer grind,
Yep.
put it in and do this process. But I love the experience of pushing it down and hearing the hiss at the end. It's doing something else for you as well.
Yep.
Like it emotionally gets me excited.
I love it. I will have to bring my own coffee beans though, so it's not the fruity ones.
All right. Well, if it's a darker roast, then I'm going to do a more coarse grind. So I'll probably do a medium grind or a little bit more coarse, depending. And oftentimes you can kind of smell it and tell. And then also going to have cooler water. So I'll probably brew that at like a 196.
See, that's
and so
closer
give
to
it a nice,
that's closer to what I do. Yeah.
right.
I'll just watch and then I'll sip both of your coffees because I do tend to like a more nutty like Mandy does, but I'm an equal opportunity. Like, if I'm gonna get a good cup of anything, I'm happy to try it.
Yeah.
So and I get to watch too. I don't have to make it. That's a win for me. I love it. I love just listening to all of the things like I can just in my imagination see all the places that you've done extra research or extra problem solving, extra trials. I mean, if we wanted to, tie coffee into solving time, it's there, right? Like you had to do that journey a little
Always
bit,
that.
right?
Yes.
It's your forever search for the perfect cup of coffee. So you're always tweaking and problem solving, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I love never like having come to the end because it's always so like for those who don't know, solving time is a design thinking activity. And one of the key elements of design thinking is iteration, right? It's learning from what you produced and then reactions from others and or yourself and then iterating from there, continually improving. Yeah. So making good coffee is definitely in that same vein.
Yes. And it's even better when it's an iteration that you are passionate about. That makes it just even more special
Yep.
and timeless too. So that makes it easy. I guess it makes it easy too. I'm going to say that square
It's
for
easy just in the yeah, it's easy in the sense just because you enjoy it, right? It's easy in the sense
100%.
because it's something that you care about. It's not easy in that it took less time or that it was less intensive in terms of what you put into it. It's just the time flies by. Your curiosity and your commitment to making it better is because you really care about it. And I think about what if we made that more of what we did in school so that kids are really, really, really committed to what they're producing.
Yes.
Yes.
That is something that I strive, at least, a portion of our routine, mostly it's usually on Fridays. But I agree with you on that, Dee. Like, it's important for kids to have choice learning time, choice exploration time, choice, a lot of different things. And I think there's so many different ways to get to the finish line. And there's so many ways that we can give kids choices. And I absolutely agree with you on that one, for sure. What a coffee talk. I could have done a whole sketch note on that. I love that. That was so fun.
So grounds for discussion is a workshop that I love to do. We just have fun.
Look at him weaving the words.
Yeah.
Yes. I need that one. I love it.
We just had it.
I know. That's awesome.
We just need coffee.
Now I do need more coffee. So
Mimi's gonna be at her kitchen the whole day.
like, listen, we're just gonna be making coffee today. So
if we get a little shaky, it's okay. We'll have some food and then we'll start over again.
That's right.
That's right.
All right, Dee, we have our next question. How is having a degree and master's in sociology an unexpected strength in the world of education?
Whew. Yeah, that's a great question. I love the research that you've done on me. I feel a little known, a little exposed, a little nervous about how much well known I feel. But yeah, I will say that my degrees I pursued because I could not get over how intrigued I was with sociology. And that it just
I love it.
It became something that I couldn't resist. And of course, I was very much interested in education, especially on an institutional level. Once I started grasping, considering education beyond the classroom, but from a systems level, institution level, and then how education is connected to other institutions and how all of these systems work at play for positive and negative results and outcomes, and how all that is connected to history. I just thought, I don't know exactly what I'm going to be able to do with these degrees, but I know that I can't help but continue to learn and understanding social theory. I absolutely love. So I didn't know what I was going to do with my degrees. I was actually pursuing ministry full time when I then started volunteering at a local high school, and all of our conversations were really around how the world works. It was a program called Character Helps Achieve Triumph, is what I was given the keys to help lead chat, and everything. And so we were bringing in, the messages that we hear in music and personal values and what goals we may have in the future, and looking at how things may sometimes be in contradiction to what we say we are aiming for, and the messages that we're hearing and the things that we're pursuing and how we're going about them. So we were just having these conversations when I then got called in and asked if I would like to work there at the school full time. And then that eventually turned into me being in a lateral entry program, and then teaching business. And I had no business teaching business. But what I recognized, right, was that sort of like the expectation, even from my colleagues, was that I would be teaching my kids how to become entrepreneurs. And because I was dealing with a lot of imposter syndrome, as it's called, often, right? Like, for me, it was beyond the feeling of, am I an imposter teacher, but am I an imposter teacher in this particular discipline, right? So I started my own business in order to self-validate. But then what I engaged in, what I had my kids doing, is helping like refurb these little netbooks, and then helping to expose them and to their parents and other business owners to open source and free software. And for me, it was like, I've now been pulling in all of my passions and the things that I care about. And I know And so then when I taught business, I taught introduction to business. I really taught it from an ethics standpoint, and I taught it from a decision-making standpoint and from the power of the consumer standpoint. And I feel that others may have taught that same class and taught, what the curriculum said you should teach, literally just by, following the book. But instead, I feel like I was exposed to thinking about society much more critically, and my direct passion in education was around critical pedagogy. And so setting up my classroom to do things differently eventually is what we ended up doing. And so having kids not only take tests because that was still mandated, but then to share their learning in the form of doodling and mind mapping, for them to create poems and plays. And I just got to see the brilliance of my kids come out in so many magnificent ways. And I feel like sociology gave me a lens in which to look at the world.
I love it.
And with that, I was able just to apply it to what I was also still learning around classroom management, right? Content and curriculum. And then really, I would say probably one of my biggest advantages was me coming in knowing that I needed to learn more to be an effective classroom teacher. And so I started not only just viewing my other colleagues and seeing some of the things that they were doing and reading books, but I just did a deep dive into brain science and how the mind works. And I think the two of you would really appreciate, so mind mapping became something that I became really, really big into, in the use of connecting or thinking with, writing, and not just writing, but drawing and pictures and creating representation of what is being communicated. So I started learning from folks like Tony Buzan and all of his theories around how the brain works, and I started implementing those things. And so I feel like I got to, because I wasn't quote unquote qualified, I got to learn and then got to learn with my kids and really come from that space of hey kids, what did you think about this activity? And then them give me direct feedback, and then learn how to manipulate it on the fly, and then take it to the next group. And then, so I feel like we were always co-creating and co-crafting our lessons. That's probably the biggest advantage from sociology. And then I would say farther down the line, as I was learning and growing and implementing a lot in tech, because that was just a passion of mine. Utilizing technology, but then getting more serious around integration of technology in the classroom. And the combination of that, along with then when more social justice issues became prominent on the outside, meaning they were always very important to me, and they were also very much when I was integrating in the classroom, trying to connect kids with what they see as societal problems and things that affect them directly. But once that conversation started to sort of finally enter the space of professional development, it was the first time I thought, I can tell you one thing I am highly qualified from jump to enter into a conversation around, and it's that. And so it took some years for it all to sort of coalesce for me to feel comfortable and not feel like I was shape-shifting depending on what setting I was in.
I love it. I have so many thoughts coming through my head about your journey. One was how I would expect you to answer the question, not even close for where you took it, which was absolutely wonderful. And I love it. Monica commented that, her major was sociology too. And that she says, you guys are experts in people, which makes sense. When I was writing the question, I actually looked up, what do you do with a sociology degree? Because I was like, I love sociology too, but I'm like, what do you do with it? And teaching wasn't really one of those things. It's kind of in there, but not really. It's more like business and other things. But I think what I love so much about it, and I also going through my head was all these education now, there's a teacher shortage. We're starting to hire outside of people with educational degrees. And I've always thought, no, that can't be the right way to do it. And I'm still not 100% sure about how I feel about it.
Right,
but when you look at your journey, there was this rightness about it. And I think some of it comes from your desire to be a good teacher, even with the knowledge you held. And then I think the other thing that I love so much about your story was how openly vulnerable you are about your areas of weakness or who you are. And then instead of just lulling in the weakness, the opportunity you take to lean into it a little bit, even if it was probably very uncomfortable at the time, I imagine, and move forward, which I really love. I really love that so much.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's just the honest truth of that matter. I was I was both a bad beginning teacher because I was also a bad beginning teacher because the first thing I knew to implement was exactly how I was taught, right? Like that was the model that I knew. That was the model I knew best. And it wasn't until I started to pan out a little bit and remember I hated all of these different things of school. So all of those things that I know that I disliked or did not make sense, we started to think critically, and then also started to engage in conversation with my students. I feel like that was the end goal, and that's when I started to grow as a classroom teacher. But then my passion really opened up when I saw the need, the desire to help my colleagues, especially with just being comfortable with the use of technology and seeing how the use of technology can help in various ways, and really pulling out the creativity of kids to communicating better with parents and other rights holders in the community. So once I started seeing my impact can be multiplied by working with teachers who, many of which, were always better teachers than me, right? In the traditional way. So then to come alongside these expert practitioners and to say, if I can help and support you in the utilization of particular tools and then help you see how that connects. I think, man, you and Mandy, we were having this conversation before we went on air, right? Talking about, a tool that's used for interacting with students. And so using those tools and then highlighting the true importance of them, right? What is the real goal behind them? And that's for you to learn your community and your community to learn together.
I love it. I'm just like marinating in, I don't know, swimming in your words. I'm just yeah, I've got a lot to think about in a really, really good way. I'm just loving this conversation and this Doodle and Chat. I think we have time for one, maybe two more questions. We'll see how this goes. We'll see. The bowl will decide. Okay, that is a question that's not supposed to be in there. It's a haiku from our Doodle and Chat original. So we're just going to pull another one. Here we go. This is a random one. If you could choose your dreams, what would you prefer to dream about?
Oh, all right. I feel like this is an AI question that's hidden in the bowl. Because I really do think.
I didn't even think of it like that. You're kind of right-ish, I guess.
We think about all of these. So I'm giving out all kinds of stuff. So Ken Shelton, my big brother and Liberated Educator podcast co-host, we are in the process of writing a book.
Congratulations.
Actually, I should say that we're in the process of editing our already written book.
That's exciting. It's starting to get real.
Yeah. So it's tentatively titled. You know how this works, right? Sometimes it's like, yeah, this is what we're working with, but it may change. But it's tentatively titled The promises and perils of AI in education.
Oh, I
All
like
that is
it.
to say, one of the outside of education, but one of the promises that I foresee that that AI will do is like it'll become Black Mirror-ish, in that it'll allow you to somehow, some way plug in and and have a generative dream, right? Like it'll work with you to think through like what is this dream gonna be. Um, it's so funny. I don't know if this may be a whack answer, but I think about like it would be fantastic to work through some of the challenges, some of the work that needs to get done the next day, right? To like really like
Oh,
to work through it, right? But you're actually still getting rest. But to work through the dream, through those challenges, and then the next day to essentially just like recreate it, to do it. Like, okay, I think, I worked through some of the scenario. I kind of did that. So that's one thing. I don't know, but at the same time, I don't know if I ever really want to have full control over my dreams. Um, because there's something about just the surprising nature, right?
yes.
I don't
Agreed.
know.
Agreed.
I don't know. That's a tough one. But I want to leave time for one more question.
Well, we can stop there and
So
we'll pull another question. Let's see what happens. Here we go.
let's see what happens.
There is one in here, and I don't think it is, that I really want the bull to give us. I'll have to ask you after we get off air.
All right.
Because this is a random one. Here we go.
Random.
What would you name your boat if you had one?
Wow. All right. Wow. If I had a boat, what would I name it? That's fun. I'm trying to think. Like my brain is going over like uh, hip hop references,
Like
coffee,
it.
um, references. Something that's just a shout out to my family. Something that may be related to my faith. Like I feel like I would have to like put all those things in the mixing bowl and figure out something because it'd have to speak to all of those things. Um, this is whack, but I'll just say it. So my tentative title for my book for my book, not my book, would be something like purposeful progress, something like that.
Ooh, I like it.
Actually, I think I know what it would be called. It'd be called Providence. It'd be called Providence. I'm sure somebody else already owns a boat that's called Providence, but it'd be called Providence because I feel like so much of my life has just been that. Everything's been providential.
Well, when you say it like that, it's a little poetic as well. So, or your boat could be providential.
Providential, yeah. It has this like elevated level, right? That
Yes.
initial at the end.
Yes.
Yeah. But it wouldn't be about the boat, right? I feel like that would be the misinterpretation, right? Some folks have the license plate to the BMW's #blessed, and I'm like, come on. It wouldn't be about the boat; it'd be about the journey. It'd be about whenever we are experiencing what we're experiencing next. It's always providential. We got to learn along the way that God had a plan, and we got to experience it.
I love it.
I thought I was going to doodle a lot during this time, but I'm just like loving and admiring what is being doodled as a part of this conversation instead.
Well, it's easy when it's so much fun, which is what we aim for and we love. And it's just, I don't think I've had as much coffee on my Doodle and Chat in a minute, but I love that. And then I had this little sign up here that was empty for a long time until you said it's about the journey, and I'm like, that's Dee. It's about the journey. You know, everything. The solve in time is a journey. Your coffee experience is a journey. I was like, that's the theme of my Doodle and Chat today, is that it's about the journey. I love it.
Absolutely it is.
I love it. All right, so I'm going to zoom in on Mandy's Doodle and Chat and then mine, and then we will wrap things up. And
That's
love
amazing.
It. See, now, Mandy, I had to copy off of Mandy for some of the coffee stuff because I knew Mandy knew what it looked like, and I had no idea. So I would need to draw her coffee stuff, and then I would copy off of her. Mine's still not as good as hers, but that's okay. Just
That's awesome.
So much fun.
That's so good. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I'm nowhere close. I started and I got it probably.
Oh, I love it though. You got pretty far. You got your boat on there, and you got a cute little color in the. You had a color. That's impressive.
Well, that was like in the very beginning when I thought I was gonna slowly have time to doodle. Then I just, realize I'm in a conversation, and I love it.
Well, Mandy and I can't thank you enough for being part of Doodle and Chat this morning, Dee.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun. It's very relaxing. Of course, I have to get coffee now.
I actually would like to go get some more coffee now too, but I won't have time to go through that process, and so I probably will skip it.
Yeah, and I'm at my limit before I start to get shaky, so I'm no more coffee for today. I'll wait till tomorrow morning. It's okay.
I think I've had enough coffee in my life that I have to consume a huge quantity of coffee, but also the darker the roast, the less caffeine you're getting. And so I drink the darker roast. So I think I can probably consume a little bit more. So.
Got it. God, that's her. That's at least that's what Mandy tells herself.
It is. It is. It means I can have more.
Excuse me. I'm almost done with this cold. I can't wait.
Oh, goodness.
All right, Doodle and Chat. Thank you so much, Dee, for being with us. If you were here with us today and you drew along with us, whether you were live or later on, please snap a picture of your Doodle and Chat and share it out on your favorite new social media platform using hashtag Doodle and Chat so we can share with everybody all the fun that we have here every morning at 9:33ish Central Standard Time. And we'll see everybody next Saturday. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.